Words have power. In fact, what defines us as human beings, according to Torah, is the fact that we can speak. When God creates man, Adam and Eve, when the Torah tells us, "Vayihi ha'adam lenefesh chaya," and man became a living spirit, a living being, a living spirit. Onkelos, who's the classic commentary on Torah. Remember, Onkelos is 2,000 years old. Rashi, who we all familiar with, 900 years old. Onkelos was 2,000 years old. He was the first, the original super commentary on the Torah. Same time as Yonatan ben Uziel, I believe, translated the Torah into Aramaic, and it wasn't just an Aramaic translation, it was actually an explanation. He translates the word, and man became a living spirit as man became a speaking spirit. L'ruach malalo, a speaker. Man became a speaker. And this is the uniqueness of our identity as human beings, is our ability to speak. Remember that man is created in the image of God. What does it mean, created in the image of God? That just like God creates through speech, let there be light, and there was light, God said, right? So too, we actually create through our speech. That's what it means. When we say words, we're creating realities. Now, the fact that we don't see the impact of our words has no bearing. We have an impact, we just don't see the impact. There's a famous story of the Baal Shem Tov, that he saw a group of, he saw a couple of people, townspeople, they were fighting. One guy threatened the other to tear him up like a fish, and the Baal Shem Tov created a circle with his disciples, and they closed their eyes and locked shoulders, and then they rose to a higher dimension, and there they saw this one guy, the speaker, flaying the other like a fish. In other words, the words came to be fulfilled, albeit not in a physical realm, but in a spiritual state of being. Therefore, in today's Talmud study, we're going to analyze the most important declaration, the verbal affirmation of Judaism. What is that? Shema Yisrael, right? So we think, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Okay, we're supposed to say it every day. In fact, you're supposed to say it twice a day. Morning and evening. Oh, he's very religious. You do it 3 times a day. Very good. Okay. It says in the Torah that you do it in the morning and in the evening. When you wake up in the morning, you're supposed to do it after nightfall, right? Every single day. Morning and evening. Now, when we say it, what are we supposed to be thinking? That's what we're going to be learning about. Right now, we're on page 204 in the Talmud, the Ein Yaakov. It's this version of the Ein Yaakov, our scroll. It was Torah and a Brisa. Now, for those of you that were with me in the class yesterday, in the Talmud class, we now know what a Brisa is. A Brisa is a written version of the oral Torah that was not incorporated into the Mishnah. Was not incorporated into the official compendium of oral Torah texts that was edited by Rabbi Yehuda the Prince. It's a slightly less formal, slightly less official, slightly less recognized version of the oral Torah. It's called the Brisa. The Brisa is the singular most important feature in the Talmud. After the Mishnah, what the Gemara does, the Gemara strives to understand the Mishnah using the Brisa. So the Brisa teaches as follows. Sumchu says, whoever lengthens the word Echad, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, right? Here is the Lord is thy God, the Lord is one. Echad means one. Whoever lengthens the word Echad at the end of the first verse of Shema, in order to concentrate properly when saying it, has his days and years lengthened. So sometimes you'll see people they'll say Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. You'll see people doing that sometimes, right? Because you can't go no. Is a letter which is like you can't lengthen a d. It's a d, right? You can't lengthen the d, but the right. You can lengthen the. You can't lengthen the d. It's like a hard stop. It's a d. It's a hard stop. Nothing you can do about it.
Shema echad da. Is that proper without the length? Just echad da without lengthening it.
Well, we just said, of course, you can say it, but we just said that if you do lengthen it, then your days and years will be lengthened. So is it proper to not lengthen it? How long do you want to live? I mean, your call, So let's see. Let's understand this. This is what Sumchus taught in the Brisa. By the way, when you lengthen it, you're going to be very, very careful not to bastardize the word. Like, for example, you don't say Ichad. Because if you say ichad, I means not. Echad means one, but ichad means not one. So be careful not to bastardize the word. Also, you want to say echadi. Like you don't want to throw any letters after the dalid, like a D, whatever, which means something else. Or do could mean two. Do, you say chadu, could mean two. So it might be 1, 2. God is 1, 2. I mean, that's idolatrous, right? So what is up with this word? And why is it that when you say this word long, it lengthens your days and your years? And what does it mean even days and years? What does that even mean? Is it not obvious? What's your name again? Josh, let me ask you a question, a Talmudic question. If your years are lengthened, you don't think your days are lengthened?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the Bryce that come to tell us? Are they bored where they like had extra ink and they were like, you know what? Years and days are going to be lengthened. And besides, if your days are lengthened, aren't your years going to be lengthened too? What do you say, Stephen? Oh, it's a good question, right?
Very good question.
So what do you think?
Your question.
By the way, you know, when somebody has a yard site, you just had a yard site. When somebody has a yard site, we wish them arichus yomim, length of days, which loosely translates as long life, but specifically it translates as length of days. We don't wish you length of years. Arichus yomim, wish you length of days. Why are we wishing you length of days?
So your days would be more meaningful. That's what it means to me. More significant.
So that your days will be more meaningful, more significant. By the way, it says when you honor your parents, and we learned in the 10 Commandments last Shabbos, when you honor your parents, honor your mother and father, lema'an, so that ya'arichun yamecha, your days will be lengthened. It's a little unusual to hear ya'arichu shnotecha, that your years shall be lengthened. It says also in the case of the king, in King David's Psalms, it says, which means days upon days of the king's life shall be extended. His years shall be like the generations. It's a bit of an interesting term here. So Harvey's suggesting as follows. Harvey's saying that your days being lengthened means that each day is meaningful. You can have a long life and have useless days. I think what it means is that, you know, you could be 104 years old or 119 years old, and you ask the guy, "No, so what did you do in your life?" "I watched every Netflix series." And you're like, "Really? Seriously? That's what you did in 119 years? Like, that was it? That's not a length of days. That's a waste of days." Right? It's interesting that there was a beautiful story of, I forget which chassid it was. The Alter Rebbe wanted to bench one of his chassidim with long life. What would you do? Jan, what would you do if a Rebbe wanted to bench you to bless you with long life? What would you say? You'd say, yeah, bring it on. This chassid said, "Sorry, not accepting." What? The Alter Rebbe wants to bless you with long life, and the guy says, "Sorry, I'm not interested. No, thank you." So the Alter Rebbe was like, "What do you mean?" He said, "Look, I'll accept it, aber nicht kein puyerische Jahren, as long as I get not peasant years." What's the value of having a long life when it's peasant years? And he explained, years of a naim lahem v'layiru, quoting the Hallel, the Psalms of which we say in Hallel. I don't want years where I have eyes but cannot see and ears that cannot hear. Now, he wasn't only talking about, like, you know, where he is, you know, with health, he doesn't have his health. He wasn't only talking about that. He was talking about his spiritual awareness and consciousness. He was saying, Jack, shalom aleichem. We missed you. I was thinking about you this morning. Welcome. Havenu shalom aleichem. It's a pleasure and honor.
Masked man is back.
Jack, we miss you. You moved from the screen to the real life.
This is Kimosabi.
So, Jack, we're talking about long life over here. Your seat is waiting for you. I'll give you a hug, but I'm on camera here.
Nice to be anywhere.
Give me a fist bump, man. Coming from the horizontal to the vertical. Welcome. You have a blessing to make. You need to make an aliyah in the Torah. And you need a blessing to make of thanksgiving, to thank God for your recovery. We're delighted to have you back with us. So we're talking about long life here, Jack. We're talking about long life. And we said this chassid was offered a blessing from the Alter Rebbe, the holy Alter Rebbe, of long life. And he declined. He said, I don't want the blessing if it's going to mean that I will have ears that can't hear and eyes that can't see, which means if I'm not perceptive and aware of my spirituality, of my godliness, and I'm just sort of like living my life, there's two levels of interpretation of what he said. Either he said, I don't want to be alive with ears that don't work and eyes that don't work. I don't want to be like in a state of semi-conscious or sick. That's one level of interpretation. But Hasidim always understood what he said to mean that having ears that hear physical sounds but not spirituality, having eyes that see physical things but don't sense spirituality. Remember the Alter Rebbe before he passed away? Remember this beautiful story. Before he passed away, the Alter Rebbe looked up at the ceiling of the roof beam in 1812, and he said, I don't see the beam of the ceiling, I see the word of God creating the ceiling beam. In other words, he had reached an awareness where he didn't see the material, he saw the energy sustaining it. Can you imagine a scientist who sees not a wall, but he sees atoms that are sustaining the wall because he's so familiar and conscious of the atoms of the subatomic particles that he's able to actually understand. Imagine a brilliant doctor that sees an illness and he's able to see different to what you see. When you see something, you see pain, but he sees something else. This is the awareness that the Alter Rebbe was able to reach when he was able to see not the ceiling beam, not the substance, but the energy which sustains it, the word of God. And that's what the Chassid said. He said, I don't want those kind of ears. And I believe the Alter Rebbe acquiesced, and he blessed them with not only he blessed them with longevity of days. That the longevity of days was that each day should be meaningful, like Harvey explained. And this is what it means when we learn today in the Talmud. We're on page 204. We learn today in the Talmud that when you say the Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, the person who lengthens the word Echad has his days and yours lengthened. That's what it means. So try to be conscious of this. When you say Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, as long as you can. The Gemara continues. Rav Acha Bar Yaakov said the Dalet is the letter of Echad that should be lengthened. The Dalet. Ooh. How on earth are we going to lengthen the Dalet? Let's see note 1. Rav Acha Bar Yaakov teaches that we should not stretch out the letter Ches when lengthening the word Echad. Don't lengthen the letter Ches, which is made up of the letters Aleph, Ches, and Dalet. When he has not yet recited a word, only Ech, which is a meaningless sound, there's no point in stretching the letter. Rather, you should prolong the letter Dalet. In this way, he has already completed a meaningful word. The Gemara now explains that he should lengthen it long enough to think about the fact that Hashem is the one and only master of the heavens and of the earth in all 4 directions. I'm sorry, I don't understand what the Gemara is saying.
Right.
How can you possibly see saying, don't lengthen the Ches because you haven't said anything? You don't say anything. So you say Echad, like how do you lengthen the Echad? I don't know how that works, folks. I'm sorry, I don't understand this Talmud. I apologize. Rav Ashi said, as long as he does not hurry the pronunciation of the letter Ches. So I think Rav Ashi is being a little more practical. He says, look, relax. You don't have to not lengthen the letter Ches. Just don't say it too fast. Don't swallow it up. Right? Okay. Interesting. What are you supposed to be thinking about? That's what we're going to learn next. The word Echad is 1. It's made up of 3 letters. Aleph, Ches, and Dalet. Remember, every Hebrew letter is a number. Aleph is 1, Ches is 8, Dalet is 4. So 1, 8, 4 spells Echad. 1, 8, 4. Good morning, Geshem and Lanetti. Love you. Have a good day. See you. 1, 8, 4. 1 represents what? Here's what you're supposed to be thinking, folks, when you sing the Shema. 1 means 1. Who's 1?
Hashem.
1 in the heavens. So God is the God of the heavens. That's great, right?
Right.
I think it's not hard for us to believe that God is God of the heavens, right? How many gods are in the heavens?
Uno.
I think we're good with 1. The problem becomes on earth. That's the problem. Because when I ask you how many powers are on earth, you say, well, on earth, there's Trump. Camelo's close. Congress, Senate, United Nations, Supreme Court. ICC, I don't know anymore. I'm not sure. Saudi Arabia, Iran. I don't know. And you just come up with a very long list. And then you go into my wife.
That should be number 2.
My boss, my this, a whole list of how many powers on earth comes. Shema Yisrael says, no. You got to believe the Aleph, that God is 1, where? Ches. Ches means in this is 8, right? In the 7 heavens and on the earth below. Ches 8 is in the 7 heavens and on the earth below. And now you got something to think about. So now instead of mindlessly lengthening letters, now you're like, one second, I got to remind myself that I know that God is the God of the heavens. Oh, again, she's stuck. Sorry about this. We're going to put you on the payroll here, Steve. So Ches means that you should be thinking about this point. That when Hashem, how many gods are in the world of Atzilus? Of course there's only one. In the world of Bria, have a great day, Ati. In the world of Yetzirah, in the world of Asiyah, okay, fine. So you're going through the 7 heavens. No problem. I'm good at that. But you're going to tell me that there's only one God in this world? There's only one power in this world? Seriously? How's that even possible? What about October 7th? What about personal tragedy? What about the Bibas family? Are you trying to tell me there's only one God? Now you go what to think about, folks. And now the question is, how can you finish this word in under 30 minutes? Right? That's the question now. How am I going to think about this? How am I going to adjust my faith to accept the fact that there's only one God, that there's only one in the 8? Now, even if I'm able to accept the fact that God is the God of the heavens and also God of earth, fine. In this room, God is the God of the earth. In this room. In the shul. But then comes the third letter. The third letter of the word 1, which is Daled. What does Daled mean? Daled is the number 4. Representing the 4 directions, east, west, north, south. Which means not only in this room is God the God, but God is west of here, the God of Mirasol. And east of here is the God of Ballon Isles. And even Admiral's Cove. And even Miami Beach. All of these. Nah, that's way too hard. Now you understand why he's lengthening the letter Dalet, right? Marty, you see where we're going with this, right? And the question is, how can we say that the Shema is so fast and rip it off in one sentence, to let it go, right? A related incident. Rabbi Yirmiyah was sitting before Rabbi Chia bar Rabba. Rabbi Chia bar Rabba saw that Rabbi Yirmiyah was lengthening the word Echad a great deal. Rabbi Chia bar Rabba told him, once you accept that Hashem is king in heaven above and on the earth below and over the 4 directions of the skies, by thinking into the fact that he's the one and only all over, you need not do any more. So he's basically telling him, listen, as long as you accepted the fact that God is almighty everywhere, you're good. Like that's an easy task, right? Can you imagine? I want you to just think about this meditation every day. Then when you say the word Echad, morning and evening, I want you to think about the 4 as like this. The 4 directions are, in addition to here, right, this space, but think about my workplace, my personal problems, 4 directions, my workspace, my personal problems, my national problems, and what's the 4th one? I mean, you were making it personal, right? And let's say my money, whatever, my whatever. You can figure out 4 of them, right? So you can think about apply it to financial, apply it to anti-Semitism, apply it to Israel, and apply it to America, right? So that's quite a meditation to do the 4 directions of applying Hashem Echad. If you could do this, says Rav Chia bar Abba to Rav Yirmiyah, you're golden, you're good to go, you may proceed. The Gemara discusses another law about reciting the Shema. This is going to get a little racy, folks. Bear with me. Rav Yosef said, someone is lying on his back may not recite the Shema. So now, why would you be lying on your back? Because you woke up late, right? You're supposed to recite the Shema every morning and every evening.
Well, you shouldn't say it in bed.
You should say it in bed. Now, the time is about to run out. There's a final time for reciting the Shema every single day. Let's see what the time is today exactly. Today's time is 9:42 a.m. in Palm Beach Gardens.
But
What?
why couldn't you say it while you're lying in bed as you wake up after you saying, put down the knee?
This is what we're saying. Hang on.
Say not to.
No, that's not what it said. Look again in the Talmud. Read it again.
You. I was listening.
My scholarly friend, read what it says. It does not say you shall not say the Shema in bed. What does it say?
While lying on your back.
Oh, that's what it says. It says while lying on your back. Don't say the Shema while you're lying on your back. That's what it says.
You're lying on your face.
Sitting up in your bed.
Okay. So now the nightfall is at 6:40 p.m. So you got to say Shema after 6:40 p.m. every day, and you got to say before 9:42 a.m. today, right? So what happens if you're still in bed? It's 9:37, and you're like, oh shoot, I didn't say the Shema yet. So what you want to do is you want to say the Shema right there in bed, but don't do it while you're lying on your back. The Gemara asks. This implies that what is not allowed that what is not allowed is reciting the Shema while lying on his back. But sleeping in that position when not reciting the Shema is permitted. It sounds like you only prohibited from lying on your back when you sing the Shema. But the rest of the time, you are allowed to lay on your back. But is this indeed true? Why Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi? This Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi is a very interesting character. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, by the way, was the guy who the angel of death wanted to take his soul, claim him as a client. And he said, like, he was negotiating with the angel of death. And he said, I don't want you to take my soul. So the angel of death said, I'm sorry, but you're my account. I have to take you. See, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi was such a powerful scholar, sage, righteous, that he tells the angel of death, do me a favor, let me just look at heaven. I want to just peer over the wall of heaven in case I don't get there. At least let me see what it looks like. He says, no problem, fine. Go ahead, take a look, and then I'll take you, fine. But then how do I know you won't take me while I'm up on the ladder? Proverbial ladder. I need you to give me your soul. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, he says to the angel of death, I need you to give me your soul that you'll be disarmed while I look over, and then I'll give it back to you, and then you can take my soul. So somehow the angel of death acquiesced. This guy must have been a silver-tongued devil.
Malachim Moses has a soul too.
Yeah, Malach HaMavis is a holy angel of God. He's a hitman for God. I mean, what is he?
He's also the same thing.
Yeah, same guy. He's on assignment. He's
got a different job.
He's on God's payroll, totally. Anyway, so what happens? Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi takes the soul of the angel of death, looks over the wall, and he gets so enthralled that he just jumps over. And there's a whole scandal breaks out in heaven. Some guy just broke into heaven, and he has the angel of death's soul with him. So, like, there's all these problems going on. They had to broker a peace deal. Anyways, this is Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, okay? So here's Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. And he says, why Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi cursed someone who sleeps on his back? Forget the Shema on your back. Anything on your back. Since if a man who is sleeping on his back experiences an arousal in his sleep, it can bring him shame. Yeah, furthermore, in this position, his hands may come to rest on his organ, which can cause arousal. So there seems to be a problem here, folks, with laying on your back with a man, woman, okay. But for a man to lay on his back seems to be a problem because it might bring him shame if he has an arousal. And also might bring him to arousal because his hands might get there. Okay. That's why you're not supposed to say the Shema while you're on your back. But we learn here also that you're not supposed to sleep on your back at all. The Rabbi said it is acceptable for a person to sleep on his back if he leans a bit on his side. So you're going to be leaning somewhat. Reciting the Shema, however, is forbidden even if he leans a bit on his side, since it appears like haughtiness. It's like a little TMI, you know what I mean? Too much information here, you know? Rav Yosef was speaking about someone who lies on his back but leans slightly to the side. That's what Rav Yosef was talking about when he said that someone who is lying on his back may not recite the Shema. So he was saying the teaching is you're never allowed to sleep on your back if you're a man. But when it comes to saying the Shema, you can't say the Shema when you're laying on your back, even if you're leaning a little bit to the side of your Yeshua. Levi would not object to this, since in this position, he will not be shamed. So Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says you are allowed to say the Shema in that position.
Especially if you're overweight.
When we recite the Shema, hang on for overweight, it's coming up. When we recite the Shema, however, we are accepting Hashem's. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi doesn't have a problem with laying on your back if you're slightly leaning to the side. So everybody agrees to the following terms: a man is never allowed to sleep on his back, to lay on his back. If he's laying on his back, slightly leaning to the side, you're allowed to sleep like that. But they all agree that if you're laying on your back, slightly leaning to the side, that's not good enough for the Shema. For the Shema, you need a little bit added modesty. And for that, therefore, you're supposed to get up or something. Now, I believe that what this is talking about is when the person's sleeping without pajamas. My understanding of this is the reason why it's haughty is because he's not wearing anything. Yeah, that's what it seems to be talking about. Where there's like it's immodest, right? Where you're just like, you know. So, but of course, if there is pajamas, then if he's dressed, then it wouldn't be so terrible for him to say the Shema in that position because it wouldn't bring him shame. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi would not object to this, since at that position will not be shamed. When we recite the Shema, however, we are accepting Hashem's absolute authority, and this must be conducted with the greatest respect. Reciting the Shema while laying on one's back, even while laying on one side, appears like haughtiness and is thus improper. And again, I believe that means when he's not clothed. The Gemara asks, can this be a person may not recite the Shema while lying on his back? Why? Rabbi Yochanan leaned a bit and recited the Shema while lying on his back. Rabbi Yochanan would do this. So we know that Rabbi Yochanan would say the Shema while leaning slightly on his back. So why can we also not do the same as Rabbi Yochanan? Says the Gemara, no. Rabbi Yochanan was different. This Rabbi Yochanan was a very beautiful man, by the way. The Gemara says that he was one of the most beautiful men of his time. Rabbi Yochanan was different because he was a heavy person. It was difficult for him to turn completely onto his side. Therefore, he was somewhat obese. Therefore, for him laying on his back while leaning partially did not show haughtiness, on the contrary. And he was allowed to recite the Shema even while lying on his back. He exhibited a tremendous effort to try to, to get out of that position.
So beautiful, but chubby.
Yeah, it was a little chubby. What do we call that? Zaftik, right? Okay. The final passage of the Shema ends with the words, Ani Hashem Elokeichem. This is the final passage of the Shema. Remember, we have 3 paragraphs of the Shema. The final 3 words, Ani Hashem Elokeichem, I'm God, you God. The lesson that follows the morning Shema begins with the word emes, the words emes v'yatziv, true and certain. According to Rabbi Yehuda in the Mishnah, we must say the words Elokeichem and emes, the last word of Shema, and the first word of the next paragraph, one right after the other, without interrupting between them. That's what we learned in the Mishnah from Rabbi Yehuda. The Gemara explains that this is based on the verse in the book of Jeremiah that says Hashem, God, is true. So that's why the last word of Shema, which is Elokeichem, your God, and the first word of the next paragraph, emes, truth, should be adjacent without interruption. The Gemara continues and asks, after having said Elokeichem and emes together, so when you finish the Shema and you say immediately the next word, does he repeat the word emes or does he not repeat the word emes? Are you supposed to repeat or are you not supposed to repeat? Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Barabo, Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Abba said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, he repeats the word emes. You say, Ani Hashem Elokeichem emes, and then you go emes v'yatziv. But Rabbi says he does not repeat the word emes. You just say Ani Hashem Elokeichem emes v'yatziv v'nachim. Now I got to tell you that in the Siddur it gets a little complicated.
The word still in what you're saying, it's really hard for me to say.
No.
So it says,
Hang on, you jumping ahead, you.
I know, I'm sorry.
Let me just point something out to you here, folks. It gets a little complicated here in the Shema. If you look in the prayer book, it says like this. Here, it says Chazan. There's a difference between the Chazan and the regular person. So although the word emes belongs to the next paragraph,
I'll get it because I have to leave. It's my wife's
Happy birthday.
I gotta get that.
God bless you. Although the word emes belongs to the next paragraph, we do not pause between Elokeichem and emes. That's what we just learned, right?
Right.
When praying without a minion, repeat Ani Hashem Elokeichem, and then you add the word emes. So you say Ani Hashem Elokeichem, and then you repeat Ani Hashem Elokeichem emes. So you say the last 3 words of the Shema twice when you're praying without a minion. When you're with a minion, you just go Ani Hashem Elokeichem emes, right? The Chazan concludes silently Ani Hashem Elokeichem emes, and then he says Hashem Elokeichem emes. So there's actually 3 ways of doing this. This is very complicated. So again, if you're doing it without a minion, then you simply repeat the last 3 words and you go to the next word emes. If you are with a minion, you don't repeat the words. You just go Ani Hashem Elokeichem emes. Those are easy. But if you're the Chazan, then what you do is you say.
There's a green button there.
What?
Yeah, I think the office isn't here. Maybe they should. I don't know. But I don't know what's going on. But if you're the Chazan, then it's slightly different. If you're the Chazan, and you repeat the last 2 words, Hashem Elokeichem emes. Because when the Chazan doesn't want to say aloud, Ani Hashem Elokeichem. Because Ani means I am God, your God. So you don't want the Chazan to say I am God, your God, truth. So you want the Chazan allowed to say God, your God is truth. Right? So you see, so it's kind of technical. You got to kind of get used to that, right? A related incident, a certain man served as Chazan before Rabbi. Rabbi heard him saying emes twice, repeating the word. Rabbi objected to this and said a habit of repeatedly saying emes has seized this person. It seems like he's got a little meshuggah. He is repeating the word emes unnecessarily. And with that, folks, I think I'm going to end it over here today. We've learned some interesting information. And remember, thank you, Oded. Nice, very nice words. What? I just want to, I figured out. I just want to point out, Powell, Shalom. I wanted to ask why God is very quick to answer my prayers for the healing of people, mainly cancer and infertility. I don't have a help of a rabbi, but joined 3 months ago, Shifra Hendry group. I don't know what Shifra Hendry group is, Powell, but I'm glad to hear that God is answering your prayers quickly. That's beautiful. May He continue to do so. Odette, thank you for your kind words. And to everybody else. Oh, James is from Western Australia or something, right? I forgot where you are from, James. Anyways, it's a pleasure to have you with us, guys. Worldwide wisdom is on a roll. Take care, guys. Be well.